Hey everyone, welcome back to Grünstadt and Merry Christmas. In today's episode, we will be covering the Industries DLC and making some changes to Industries in Grünstadt. So, I'm not even gonna spend much time on just saying the fact that yes, I'm late. I was in the middle of a move, as I did mention on Discord, and I actually just finished with my room today, putting up some shelves. It's been really quite a hassle with the move and still having to maintain work, finishing up some, work for classes and everything. So I hope you guys can understand that. But anyways, I haven't quit the city or anything like that. I'm still working on it. So yeah, basically here we're going to be redoing the Industries DLC. Or not redoing, but redoing our Industries with the new DLC. This was actually a whole lot of fun, and honestly, it wasn't as tough as I thought it would be. Really, it was mostly just making things more functional. A lot of, especially in this area over here, I don't remember what I called this area, like Fawn Yards or something like that. Basically, there was a lot of warehouses that I made. Those big oil tanks I replaced. Avanya came out with industry DLC versions of her buildings and everything, and I converted that to oil storage. A lot of stuff is just converting old things to functional buildings. Warehouse, adding some post offices. We're actually using Deutsche Post, which is pretty nice. And also, I have to say, Paradox or Colossal Order or whoever, great job on the buildings. In this DLC, I'm pretty surprised with how good the buildings look. I ended up using a lot of vanilla buildings, and this factory right here, I love the size of them. They're massive, but they're awesome. Hopefully we can get a gigafactory someday, Tesla, something like that. That would be pretty nice, because we have a lot of electric cars in Grünstadt. It was really interesting. Like I said, I did put some post offices in some places. I did actually start also using Ronix's not so new at this point tracks, the railway mod, which is awesome. The only problem I have with warehouses is that you have to set each one to a specific type. I wish there was a way that it could be balanced by itself, but other than that, it's very intuitive, really easy to use. Couldn't be more than happy with it. Now moving on to our ore area, which I don't remember what I called. Basically, I replaced a lot of the bulk storage with... actually, I'm going to be doing that later, you'll see that. But right now, I'm actually upgrading some tracks between those bulk storage units to the, Ronix's new ones. And, they look awesome. I love them. We're going to have... Next episode on Grünstadt is going to be that, but we are going to have GSX first. Still trying to keep that consistent. And then, for the most part, yeah, like I said, it's converting buildings to industries. There's a lot of producer buildings, so I do remove those big bucket excavators and replace them with ones that come with the Industries DLC. And there's some other excavators, and they generate materials. And then what you can do is you put down other buildings that process, they're processors. They process raw materials into goods, which is pretty cool. So I'd like to take the opportunity to take a look at the first question on Discord, because I am doing the Q&A. And this is from Dark Kiro. What's your favorite mod for City Skylines, and how old are you? Favorite mod? That's a tough one. I think, Move It is sort of one. It's a must-have. I have a lot that I use in my city. I think I'm going to go with, as of right now, probably Runways and Taxiways. It's a really cool mod. I love it a lot because, obviously I have an entire series based around it that would be impossible without it. But it's slowly becoming a bit more redundant because, networks, it's possible to create taxiways without the need for that anymore. How old am I? I am 16, so yeah, I'm still in high school. That's why it's kind of tough for me to keep up with everything. But it's definitely fun, and it's a nice, thing to do on the side. Now here you can see me do a bit of rail work with the new railway mod by Ronix and Revo, or Revo, I'm just going to say Revo. It's amazing. They made that the diamond crossovers, which you have at stations, larger, so they're not as compact. They make much more sense and much more fluent transitions. You can have stations with the tracks because there's a selector. You choose the props, so you have like really nice buffers and signals and everything. Turnouts, switches, stuff like that. They just look great now because I don't know how they did it, but they made them larger, so they're much smoother. It's a great mod. If you're paying attention to detail, you want your city to look nicer or something like that, just get the mod. There is a lot of stuff, but if you have the loading screen mod, it's like not even that much of a toll. It's a great mod. One of the things I did here, as you can see again, is I'm just basically adding more tracks into these sheds because I could fit a ton more. It makes more sense to have more, and I thought it would be nice. And of course, we have that giant rail yard that I'm going to have to take care of in episode 5, so that's going to be a ton of fun. Yeah, that's basically what it is. What else? Oh yeah, I changed the gravel texture. I did change a few of the textures around. That was pretty fun. I had to go into theme mixer and I went around and I changed some textures, especially with the gravel. Ronix actually was kind enough to send me the texture for that, and I guess I can provide it if you need it. It's I don't remember. It was from like Cedar Valley or something like that. The gravel texture just made a bit smaller and the color changed a bit, so it looks like really nice ballast. I can link it like to Imgur in the description if you need it. If you are going to pursue that though, then realize that it's not that simple as just, downloading the texture. You have to download the texture, then make a new theme, just change the gravel texture, and I called mine just gravel. Then you have to go into theme mixer and change your gravel texture to just gravel. Then you have to go into mod tools and change some tiling parameters, so that it tiles properly and is really nice and small. So it's really fine and everything, and it looks like real gravel, and that's what I had to do. And you have to have mod tools and theme mixer and a bunch of stuff, so I'd probably maybe don't do it. It's not that big of a deal, but if you've been watching this channel for a while, then you know me, that I have to be pretty precise and I like things a specific way, so that's something that I spent my time on. And that's not the reason why this episode took a while to come out. Like I said, I just moved and it's a hassle getting everything done, but I am trying. City Skylines is something that I enjoy so much. So yeah, I'm really glad that I'm still doing this. I haven't quit or anything. It's a lot of fun. Alright, so next question from Discord is from Abstract. How did you make your logo? If you bought it, who did you use? I actually made my logo myself. So it's a font called Note This, and I first found it on Pixlr Express. I was playing around with fonts and I found it and it looked really nice, and now I love it. And for a while, you might know if you've been here for a while, that it was actually a thinner font. It was also Note This, but thinner on the like a background of a galaxy or something like that, because I really like space. And I changed it like a few months back during the redesign on my channel. I went into Photoshop. I increased the stroke so the font is just a bit bigger, nice, easier to read, and just stands out more. This sort of bright white, because it was a little bit off-white, it turns out. And then I changed the background to a nice gradient from like pink to a nice purple, and I'm really happy with it. Yeah, it's really not that hard. It's kind of surprising by how easy it is. But yeah, that's my logo. Thank you for asking that. That's actually something that I wanted to share for a while now, and perfect opportunity, So yeah, if you don't know how to make a logo, just play around with some fonts and some designs. It's not as hard as it sounds. Maybe it is harder to some, but for me it was pretty easy. And you can use any program. It doesn't have to be Photoshop. It could be GIMP, Pixlr, any of that. They all work. I'm really glad that people are jumping on board the Discord thing. I do post their updates really often. It's my main source of stuff. Oh, and by the way, here you can see the junction, how smooth it is with, using Move It and everything. It's awesome, right? And anyways, like I was saying, I'm really glad people are jumping on board Discord and asking questions. It means a lot, and I did want to build a sort of sense of community on here, so it's a lot of fun, and thanks for participating in that if you did. I do have a few more questions that are going to be coming up later. We can do one now, in fact. Sure, why not? Next one is actually by Dark Hero as well, and he says, they say, what animal is this? I'm gonna go with yes. Yeah, that's an animal. More seriously, though, I think it's a chicken in a Reese peanut butter cup. Final answer. Now, thank you for that outstanding question. Amazing. A+. Thank you. Anyways, back to the video now. I'm still working on the rails here. It's just basically wooden ties on gravel, which I think look nice. It gives the appearance of it like a nice old railway. It's been there for a while. As far as I'm aware, all new tracks have to be made with concrete ties because they last longer. They don't need as much repair and maintenance. So yeah, I think I actually did change these over here by the steel mill to concrete, which is, I think I'm about to do that right now. I think it makes more sense. Maybe the steel mill is more recent. It needs more of a foundation for the tracks, heavy materials. Whatever, not important. I thought it looked nice. And yeah, that's basically as far as I'm going to do with that. Then on to agriculture. I think I called this Blightville because Interstellar, why not? And there's a grain silo, which I'm going to be using as storage. This is also with the Industries deal from the workshop, made for the Industries DLC. I really hope we're going to get more Industries buildings, especially with the refinery stuff, which you'll actually see that in the end of the episode. And then we moved straight on from agriculture. There was really not much there. It was just fields that produced crops, and it's not like specific stuff, it's just crops. Which is cool, right? But again, this Industries DLC, pretty straightforward. Then we moved on to Forestry, to, what do I call this? Was it palm fields? I think I did change it later, but I don't remember to what, because there weren't any palms anymore. And basically, it's plantations of trees, and it looks so much more like an actual forestry district now because you have these grids of trees, and it just looks great. I had to get, this thing from the Steam workshop. It was basically plantations of these trees. There was a young oak and then Norfolk pine, because I wasn't able to use prop it up to change trees in the vanilla ones, and that's kind of annoying. Oh, and by the way, if you need to change the style of like a field or like plantation or whatever it's called, you click on it and then there's a style selector, and that's a little bit annoying because it randomly selects it when you place down field. It's one of the features, but yeah, you can change the appearance of it, which is, it's really nice. Yes, there's a whole bunch of buildings that I got. This is a forestry maintenance building. Again, vanilla building, looks great. Really happy. Oh, and by the way, there's a lot. I probably should have just said all this at the beginning of the episode, but industry areas are different from districts. So I think you can have both, but I chose to make this an industry area rather than a district because it's not like there's people really living there. It's just an industry production area thing. That's what I did. Oh, and then buildings like these, right? So you could see I couldn't use prop it up there. This is a storage building, and they look great. What I had to do is I actually had to go into the asset editor, and I spent a day changing them and removing props and trees because I didn't need them. I couldn't remove them, and they just didn't go with the city. So I had to remove that so we wouldn't have those huge bright green palms. And then you can see I selected a whole bunch of different properties. I chose all of them just to give this district a real boost. City has always been profiting since this episode, since they made all these industry things. I'm calling it the Industries effect because it seems to be happening to a lot of people. When the Industries DLC first came out, you could see on Reddit, so many people were saying how their cities were just flooded with money after they did this. If you make a proper structured system, it works really great. That's mostly what it is. You can see here these bulk storage areas for wood chips, I think this was. They actually look nice. They added some new particle effects. I know that with the Industries DLC you get some new light colors, including blue and green, some other blues and greens. And I think the greens would be nice for taxiway lights because I think up until now I was just using, custom light effects, which is actually really bad for your game. It causes horrible lag, and it's probably why my city is lagging so bad because I'm using so many of them, which sucks. So maybe we can do something about that. I don't know. Anyone wants to take that challenge up. Moving on, this is going to be the oil district, refineries. Yay. So here we're starting with the oil industry area. I'm just going to call it the refinery from now on because it's easier for me to say. For the most part, what it is I put down some large oil pumps, which is just a series of the oil pumps. These are all vanilla, by the way, and then some small ones scattered about. I don't really know how else I would do it. Generally, you have the pumps in a different area, from what I understand, or you have like a rig or something like that. I tried to be a little bit unique, and I made like a grid of those pumps, which make a massive amount of oil. I wish there was a way to balance it out, or just transfer it all by pipelines, because I put down these storage tanks and some buildings to process it, and I had just like billions of trucks spawning from each of those pumps, carrying it over and over. So that was really annoying. I wish there was a way to balance that out. I'm gonna focus. You're gonna see or realize that most of the footage is gonna be from the oil area, mainly because that's the area that I had the most interest in, I think, there was the most stuff about it. Okay, like Forestry was just some fields and plantations. Same with farming. There wasn't much change, but this is a completely new area, so I thought that would be interesting to show. I did extend the oil lines, right? Not the oil lines, the rail line. I extended the railway to come over here, and then I did some work with Surface Painter. Basically just doing some basic stuff, but it looks really nice in the end. I'm really happy with it. I put down some large oil storage tanks over there. I have this big road, the avenue with the painted median. And then I finally had some use for these large pipelines by Bad Idea. They're awesome. I love them. They go with the old refinery assets. And those need to be converted, like the coke plant or whatever it's called, the coal coke. I don't remember what it's called. It's like this big building with like this chimney and this coke pit. Something like that. It was really cool. There's a lot of refinery assets that just haven't been converted, and I didn't have the time to convert them myself. So, we're stuck with this for now. It is working in the end. It is using the vanilla, like this vanilla refinery. It's this big building, but it doesn't go with the theme of the rest of this. I have this whole like rusty sort of brownish orange industrial look going on, and then it's like this clean white building. But whatever, you'll see that later on. As you can see, it does look pretty nice. And then I did add some of those small pipelines connecting the oil pumps to, all the oil pumps together, which, it just adds to the look. Again, I wish there was a way to transport, oil by pipes, like we have with water and stuff like that. There isn't. That's cool. Whatever. They do connect weirdly if you put them at an angle, these big pipes, so I did have to put them perpendicular because that made the most sense. And they have some nice props, It really looks like an industrial thing, which is pretty awesome. That's most of it, to be honest. And then I put down some more buildings, but it's still interesting to see, that's for sure. Alright, next question comes from Saucy Duck. Great name, very nice. What other country would I like to live in the most? That's a really tough question, actually. If you don't know, I live in Canada right now, and I've moved around a lot, which I guess ties in with what's been happening the last month. And I'm Ukrainian, so I have family in Ukraine, and they've moved around a lot because of the war there. So they're like now they were in the Czech Republic, and now they moved somewhere. I travel a lot as well. So it's a really tough question. I personally really like Ukraine, Germany, and Switzerland, but I don't know if I would be able to decide between the three. I think I'd have to probably go with Germany. Germany's such an interesting place. There's so much background and history, and the trains there are pretty awesome, and the U-Bahn. I'd probably live in Germany. I think I really want to live there. I guess that's sort of obvious given that the name of this city is Grünstadt, which is Green City in German. Yeah. Oh, by the way, so there were some refinery assets that were converted, like these, I can't see because the resolution I have turned down to like absolutely nothing in Premiere Pro, but they converted to like creosote, no, not creosote, like refined oil or something like that. I don't know. They convert raw oil to the other thing, which I can't see, and I don't remember. Oh yeah, and this is the big refinery coke thing that I was talking about. It doesn't actually process anything. It's just like a regular oil industry building. Speaking of which, I don't have much zoned industry anymore. I converted almost all of it to the industry's DLC. And as you can see, I mean, it looks awesome at night. It's just beautiful, especially with this flame tower. It looks really great. I did add a whole bunch of tanks later, and you'll see later that I even added like a little rail yard, which is pretty cool. I do have like the docks for boats to come in, but I haven't been seeing it that used, when I recorded this. I'll definitely be working on these areas a lot. I think I did mention it on Discord, but there's so many assets that still need to be converted. I'm definitely going to be, slowly revising all these industry areas, just because they have to be. There's a lot that needs to be done. And of course, assets will slowly be released. So I actually ended up working on this refinery a ton, because this is, when I started working on this, so much stuff started coming up and it was so hard to cope with. And one of the things that actually came out on the workshop was the Ronix's HDR Haven Cube Map Pack. It's just amazing. I posted some pictures onto Twitter and I think possibly onto YouTube community, but I don't remember. I mean, it just changes the game. I worked with settings and everything. I mean, it's so awesome. It looks real. Oh, and then there was another pack that came out by someone else. They're like 8K, and I changed it to that, and now it looks just even better. But thank you, Ronix, for setting that trend, because they're amazing. I mean, I love it. Now here, what I'm doing is I took this geothermal plant thing. It's actually an energy production building. It's not like oil or anything, but it fits into the area. I mean, it looks cool, and I feel like it could have something to do with that. And then using Move It, so I put down this cargo station, and then I moved it into the geothermal thing, and then I selected the nodes, and I moved. This is, so complex. It's actually pretty simple. Then I selected the nodes and I moved them out, so it's actually a functional cargo station that can actually transport oil. All the trains that are spawning so far are like cargo trains with like intermodal cars. It'll change in episode 5 because we're gonna have the whole railway overhaul thing, which is gonna be actually a ton of fun. I'm really excited for that. I almost skipped this episode, but I was like, no, I have to do this. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I did. I moved around some stuff, but in the end it's fine. It's a really convenient building. It has like an open door, and the cargo station fit inside perfectly. And then I sort of branched out the rail yard from that main track. You can also see there's a glitch sometimes. I talked about this with Ronix. We're not exactly sure why it's happening. It doesn't happen every time. My theory is it's like with the way things are loaded. But you can see that sometimes when I zoom out, the railway mod tracks become black and you can only see the rails themselves. It's like a texture error, and it happens with other roads as well. Let me know if you ever get this problem as well. We don't know what it's exactly caused by. For me, it only happens sometimes when I load the game. Other times it's fine, but I mean, it's still weird. Anyways, I ended up going with these concrete tracks just because I feel like this would be... It is a newer area, right? They build it more modern, and I feel like it would make more sense to have it this way, and it just looks cooler. I mean, not everything is about being super realistic, and I mean, that's weird for me to say. And yeah, I messed around with this. I won't be showing you too much of the rail yard. It's pretty boring, and I'm sure that you've seen all this before, and you will be again in episode 5, so just forget about it. I just basically moved a whole bunch of tracks together and then connected them, and then made a loop. That's pretty much it. Alright, now last question before we start exiting procedures. This one is by Housie. Weird question. If you were the mayor of your own city, what would you realistically add to it? And I mean, I love that question. I live in like Canada's capital, Ottawa, and we have the O train that's been delayed for like a couple years now. And I was going to say LRT because I completely forgot that we had it. That's how slow it is. I would speed up the O train. We need it, and it would be really beneficial to the city, in my opinion. We'd have the extension coming in like 2030. That's been even more delayed now. But still, there's a lot of potential, in my opinion, for the O train. It would be a really big thing. And I think, realistically, I would try and probably speed the progress of that up. Anyway, so we're coming up on the end of the episode now. All in all, it was really necessary. It was super fun, decently simple. I mean, all you need is the industry's DLC, and I mean, just go from there. We did establish a whole bunch of new areas, the refinery, which is going to be crucial to development in the future. There's a lot of potential there. All the industry areas are generally good to go, but I can still work on them, and we can always make more. I'm really happy with how it turned out. We did establish more of the railway, and I mean, we're going to be working on that next episode, but it's still pretty good. Before we do the outro, I would like a quick word from our sponsor, Massdrop. Huge thanks for sponsoring. Massdrop is an online retailer that works with people like myself to bring you great devices at a lower cost, like keyboards, headphones, great stuff like that. This time around, Massdrop sent me the AKG M220 Pro headphones for me to review, and it came nice and quick. Right out of the box, they're good to go. It does come with an adapter for a larger jack should you need it, but I'm sticking with a 2.5mm. One of the things that I should mention is that, I mean, it did take me a long time to get this episode out, but I did get to use the headphones for longer before giving my opinion, and I mean, I can say that they're nice and flexible. The cups are adjustable, so they can definitely fit anyone, and I mean, I'm spending so much time at my PC that padding and compression is something really important to me, because I don't want to have a migraine, right? Apart from the outstanding sound quality, the best thing about these is the padding. It's really comfortable, paired up with the compression. It's just the right amount. You need to properly keep them on your head, unlike with other headphones I've tried, like including wireless ones, which are either trying to squash your head or just have it slip off every time you look down. And honestly, I found that I can wear these no problem for hours at a time without any discomfort at all. They're going for $49.99 USD as of right now, which in my opinion is a great deal for what you're getting out of these. They have 3 different colors to suit your needs, and if you're interested or would like to support the channel, you can check them out at the link on screen or visit the link in the description. Again, massive thank you to Massdrop for sponsoring. I love the headphones. Please do go check them out. Huge thanks for watching this video as well. I really do hope that it helped you if you were struggling with industries. Leave a like on the video and leave a comment if you want me to read it. Check out Discord, which is in the description. Always great. And I'll see you next time.